Welcome M365 Nation contributors and listeners. We are here today with Michael Jenkins to discuss top 5 things MSPs do wrong. Welcome, Michael. We're excited to have you.
Good morning from Australia and good afternoon to you over there. Yes, what do MSPs do wrong? Let's start with 5 if we've got more time. I've got a few more because we do lots wrong. We keep doing things wrong. I know because, hey, I work in IT and I see it. Unfortunately, it doesn't just apply to MSPs, it's also break fix, it's everybody. What are we all doing wrong? Well, one of the first things to look at is that we all assume we're doing a great job. We all pat ourselves on the back. We don't go and ask the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, am I doing a great job? Quite often when I go and visit a customer, I sit down with them for 5-10 minutes and I ask them, what do you think I'm doing? How do you think I'm doing? And sometimes the feedback's not that flattering. Sometimes I've missed the point. Sometimes you need to get that client perspective. Don't forget, they do widgets or wadgets or whatever they make, plastic bags or baked cars or whatever they make. They're not great at IT. They expect you to be great at IT. And when you fall short of what they want, and unfortunately sometimes they don't communicate that well with you, then it can make you go the wrong way. So as an MSP or break fix, whatever you're doing, always ask your customer, how am I doing? Don't just assume, hey, I did a great month this month, my figures are up and customers are happy. Maybe they're not so happy. Maybe there's a few customers ready to leave. So check up on your customers and have a chat with them. Another thing
Michael,
is, yeah.
How often would you say to check in with customers maybe that aren't having difficulties that you're not seeing all the time? Are you suggesting sending out surveys? Do you pick up the phone and call them? How do you communicate, and how often do you communicate with those customers?
Very good question. Very good question. It's all different. Every customer is different. Some customers are just, they think they're so busy that they can't make time. Other customers, unless they see you face to face, they're not happy. The majority of our customers, we try and catch up with quarterly. Some of them a bit more frequently, depending on their needs. I find that surveys just annoy people. You get so much email these days. Lots of it does go through the junk mail. But who wants to sit down in the inbox and have a cup of coffee and go through 3,000 emails from suppliers and vendors, and hidden in amongst that is one customer email? Nobody likes that as an MSP. I don't like it. So as a customer, imagine that. You get, let's say you're in real estate, and you get all your emails in every day advertising all the houses for sale and things you need to be aware of. And in amongst that's a survey. You going to do it? I'm not. I'm going to go back to my cup of coffee. So no, you need to get their attention. If you don't have their attention, you can't look in their face. If you can't look in their face and make eye contact, you don't have their attention. You're also probably not going to get the truth in a survey. You don't always ask the right questions in a survey. You might say, do you like my service? Tick. But what they're really thinking is, yeah, the last time you were here was great, but the time before not so great. So you really need to sit down around a table, eye to eye, eyeball contact. I like to come up with an agenda. I like to try and provoke questions. I like to bring new technologies to people, and I like to find out how their business is going. Now, that's another thing that MSPs do wrong. It's not on my list. They all go, so how's your business going? In a climate where you know their business isn't going well. Make sure you get them talking about things they like to talk about. Make sure you bond a little bit with them. Maybe they like cars. Maybe it's their birthday. Have a bit of a light-hearted chat. Don't try and prod them in ways that they don't want to be talking about things. So you've got to do these little things to make sure that, yes, when you are doing a bad job, instead of them getting angry with you, they bring it to your attention and say, by the way, you didn't do too well. It's better than finding out a month later and they've gone elsewhere because they didn't bring it to you because they didn't have that bond. So sit down with them quarterly. I would make phone calls to start with. I would book appointments. I'd get out there and see them. Works well.
Bring a cup of coffee as well. It always works.
Cup of coffee always works, absolutely, and a few stories. Bring a few stories, not work related, but just bring a few stories. It's always good as well. Now, the next one is just because you can do a job remotely faster doesn't mean you should do that. Now, sure, if someone needs a password changed or they need something simple done, yeah, remote into the server, change the password, bring them back, yep, all good. But sometimes you're missing out on opportunities. You're not going out on site and changing that password. I'm using that as an example. I probably would do that remote, but doing the job on site, and they say, by the way, while you're here, this printer broke a week ago. Didn't tell you about it, didn't think to tell you about it. Or this program doesn't work properly. Or thank goodness we now see you and you've come out and introduced yourself. I know who I talked to on the phone. One of the biggest problems we face, we see, I should say, is coming against competitors where the customer has forgotten who does their IT. Literally, they don't know. And the reason they don't know is because they're getting remotely looked after. They've never met the person face to face. The person does all this back end work, but never goes out and introduces himself. So when something goes wrong and it's 3 months down the track and they haven't seen anybody, they pull out the telephone book or they Google for another IT person because they've forgotten who does their IT. One of the biggest things people don't think about is having an on-site presence puts you into their mind. They know who you are. They can put a name with a face. They understand how you carry yourself and that you're professional and all the rest of it, rather than just being a person that rings up when you need to. So get out more often, basically, is what I'm saying. Don't rely on all those automatic, quick little fixes remotely. Now, that leads me to the next one. Automation. We rely on it way too much. We rely on things to arrive in our inbox or into our MSP solution or our help desk solution. We automate so much that we miss the bits in the middle, the human bits. You need to, again, as I said in the previous one, get out and see people and shake the hands and look at the networks. Automation is great, but is it going to tell you that that server is full of dust, the fans are starting to ramp up, it needs a real dust blowout? Because your tool just says, yep, temperature's fine. Of course it's fine. The server's overcompensating and ramping up all the fans. You need to get out and have a look. One of the biggest problems I came against recently was a server that was automatically sending me health reports, temperature reports, and things like that. What I didn't know is on premise, someone had backed a photocopier up against the rack, and the photocopier, every time it warmed up, was pumping all of its heat into the rack. So this server was sitting there with a red light on the front flashing away, saying my fans are not coping, and there was nothing wrong with the dust levels. It was just that every time someone did a print job of 100 pages or more, this laser printer would arc up and push all of its heat into a rack. Now, even worse, the rack had 3 sides on it. The side to the photocopier was open. So the photocopier was pumping all the heat into the bottom of the rack, which is rising up through the rack, heating everything up. No tool is going to tell me that. I don't put a webcam on every rack server I install. I'm not going to sit there watching every server room. You need to get out there, you need to have a look. And this is again about getting a bit of a physical presence. We seem to be getting a little bit lazy. We sit back and if our console doesn't have a red light flashing on it, that client's okay. But are they? So automation is not always your friend. So think about what other things you can do besides automating tasks. Now, I should look at my cheat sheet here. Okay, the next one, excuse me. Is your business top of mind? Now, little experiment. Go out to your staff and ask them, when you think of a car, what do you think of? And they might come back with Ford or something like that. Then you go out and ask them, when you think of a bread spread, it might be peanut butter or something like that, or jam or something like that, what comes to mind? And they'll come back with a brand. Then ask them, what do you think of when you think of IT? And they come back with Cisco and Microsoft and HP. And then you think, but hang on, you're employed by an IT company. Why isn't our company the first thing you said? Because it's not top of mind. There's a big problem out there. People don't have you as top of mind. So when you're next thinking about your marketing or your branding or your surveys or how you communicate with people, think about this. Why am I not top of mind and how can I be top of mind? And again, one of the mistakes people are making is spending too much time remote and on the phone and not in people's faces. So you're not giving them your business card. You're not giving them your letterhead. You're not telling them about your website. You're not communicating with them about your Facebook. And they don't really have a desire to just troll your Facebook in the middle of their lunch break. They need to have a reason. So you need to find a way to make them top of mind, or you top of mind. So think about that next time and try that experiment. Talk to your staff, ask them some random questions. Favorite brand of TV? Sony. Okay, cool. IT company. Trend Micro. No. Us. Think about it that way, all right? Now, I'm going to go beyond my 5 because I think we've got some time today. Next one
Definitely.
is, yeah.
Also, that really ties back into being top of mind and being in front of people as far as where they're going to look and not pull up Google to figure out who their computer person is. You know, I was just looking at my computer and I've got a little cover over my camera, and you know, there's a little sticker on there with ADT. And so that would be a great, if you just put your little sticker on there, who's my computer guy? Oh yeah, right there on the top of my computer. And it works as covering your camera as well. So there's lots of different tips and tricks that you can do to make yourself top of mind and right there in front of your customer all the time.
Back in the 1990s, and yes, I've been in IT for a while, we used to take all the manuals that came with various parts of the computer. There's even a manual for the case back then, and we put it in a folder, and that had our brand on the folder. And basically, if you needed anything, it's in that folder. Then we used to give them a mouse mat, and that had our brand on it. And then we put a little sticker on the keyboard, and a little sticker on the monitor. But now, margins are so tight. We can't do the giveaways. We can't give away mouse mats and folders. So things have changed a little bit. So you need to think of fresh new ways that don't cost you very much to make yourself top of mind. And one of the things that I've experimented with is doing videos about the company, introducing people, interviewing them, talking about them, and putting that on a USB stick and giving that to new potential customers. They can then, at their leisure, when they've got time, sit down and have a poke through it. And the best part about it is if you're a bad actor and they don't like your video, they can format it and they've got themselves a free key. But at least your logo's on the key. So you've got to think about a few things to make yourself top of mind, but don't harass. Yes, okay, there's also the bad side. You could become top of mind simply because you've pushed too hard and all of a sudden you're annoying. So you've got to be aware of that fine balance. And again, that's where phone calls and emails can lead to being annoying, whereas a meeting they're expecting that you're booking every quarter is not so annoying because they're actually expecting it and they're actually demanding it because they want to talk to you because they like you and you're top of mind. So just think about that next time. Now, the next one, is your team functioning? Now, this is a very interesting one because I don't have the authority to tell you if your team's functioning. I'm still working that one out. But is your team functioning? Do they get along? Do they work as a team? It's one of those things that I've discovered a few times that just one person drops the ball and the whole rest of the team falls over because they're relying on that one person. So with an MSP, with a break fix, you've got a group of people who possibly work for you or with you or partners. You need to all function. And if you don't, you need to figure out why and fix it real quick because your business is based on that team performing for you. So yes, you've got to get them out there, not remote all the time. You need to get them out in front of customers, but they need to function really well together. Okay, we got some bonus ones here. So next one, are you invested in further education? I had a person join me from Poland. I was very privileged to have this person. When I looked at her resume, she just had course after course after course. Now, she was making her way to Australia. She came via New Zealand. When she got to New Zealand, she worked for an internet provider, and over there, she did course after course after course. When I interviewed her, it was obvious. She's a permanent student. She just keeps wanting to learn. And the more I talked to her, the more I realized she was excited about IT, she was passionate about IT, and she could retrain the rest of my team in the things that she had learnt. The more I talked, the more I realized that we all get stuck in our own little world. We all think we know enough to do what we need to do right now and look after what we've got now, but none of us are looking to those extra little things we can learn. Now, I get 2, 3, maybe 4 webinar requests per day. They come from HP, Sophos, WebRoot, Trend Micro. There's always training. It's free, but it's just always there. How do you make the time for it? You've got to pick those things that look to be going to affect you in the months to come. Those things you need to learn about, those new things popping up that you don't want to accidentally have to learn on site under duress when everything's gone wrong because new features got introduced. You need to constantly learning. Now here at BTP, I've allowed an extra 2 hours on a Friday where we sit down and face it, nobody does any work on a Friday. Everyone's looking towards the weekend. Perfect time for a bit of training. I bring in professional trainers or we do it in-house, but I'm always trying to keep the guys interested. And because of that, they're not looking elsewhere for their information. So we are coherently together learning the same thing, which I think is also a bit of a bonus. None of us are hearing different things from different places. We're doing it together, and we're also learning who's struggling and who's not struggling. And as a team, we're working on finding solutions together and learning together, which I think is a great environment. So there's something also we're not doing quite right, is we're not investing in that further education. We need to invest in that further education. The next one I've got here, be aware, do your staff ever expose you legally? Interesting question. The reason I ask, a lot of people come to us with malware. We've had the police come to us, ask us to do forensics. We've also had people come to us and say, oops, I've just deleted all these photos. Can you recover them on a hard drive? Have you ever thought about what happens if this goes wrong? What if you, excuse me, what if you make a mistake in the forensics? Does that affect this client then legally proceeding with that data? Have you ever thought about where you're liable? I'm not worried about so much if you've got insurance or things like that. It's your reputation and it's how you work. So one of the things I do find MSPs are doing wrong is they try to be a master of all trades. They jump in and they try and do everything, and then when it goes horribly wrong, don't know what to do next. If you're going to do these things and you're going to have people expose you, which could be leading to a legal issue, then make sure you have key people who are trained work on those things. Now that's the high level. What's at the low level? What about if you've got a customer who gets ransomware and you didn't check their backup logs and they're paying you to check them? Now that exposes you legally as well. Or what if there's a power supply, UPS, that's saying, I've got a problem with my battery, and suddenly there's a power blackout and that server doesn't come back up online? Have you also just exposed yourself legally? So yes, there's the top end stuff like forensics and recovering files. There's the bottom end stuff. If you say you're monitoring a customer, monitor the customer. If you say you'll get back to that customer before they notice something's wrong, get back to them. If they say, okay, I'm going to make sure I tell you if you've missed a backup, get back to them, because these things can be legal minefields if something goes missing and you've made a commitment you haven't kept. So as an MSP, make sure you keep your commitments and make sure everything is covered. You cross all your T's and dot your I's, and you make sure you do your monitoring if you say you're doing your monitoring. Don't let your staff expose you legally, all right? Or your systems. Staff, systems, same things. Don't let them expose them. Next one is you become a bit of an island. You're an MSP island. You don't talk to anyone else because you know better and you're running your business and you've been around 10 years. Don't become an island. Every IT company needs a peer group out there, needs somebody to escalate to or talk to if you get stuck. You're doing a project and suddenly you sell 3 more projects, you don't have the staff. You might want to ask one of your peers to assist. Having peers is great. I've got peers that I work with who work with Cisco because I work with Sonic Wall firewalls. I don't have the staff or the time to work with Cisco. So with having peer groups, you can actually conquer a lot more problems, and you've got more sounding boards if you actually work collectively as a group. So don't become an MSP island. Don't think you know better. Get some friends in the industry, go to user groups, whatever you need to do to create friendships and expand your skill base without actually expanding your skill base, because you're using your peers instead. Now, as we've got a bit more time, we've got a few more here. Okay, if you've got a team of people around you, and I've got that, I've got 13 guys here. If you are a technical person and you're still trying to manage the business, learn to let go of the technical. I still struggle with that one. Somebody comes in with something broken that's really cool and funky and geeky, and I want to dive in there and I want to fix it. The problem is I should be running the business, not doing the technical. One of my biggest problems is learning to let go of the day-to-day technical. I've got guys here who have to perform, they have to meet targets, and they really have to get this job done. I can't get in there and interfere. Not only that, they're at the coalface. They are seeing the changes before I get to see them. They're seeing new technology before I get to see it. They are in there learning at a faster rate than I am. I'm more worried about, oops, have I paid my tax? Have I done this? Is the payroll done right? I've got lots of other things to worry about. So I've got to learn to let go of the technical. And in some case, that's also learning to let go of the sales or whatever it is that, yes, you may be great at it, but you've just hired somebody who's probably supposed to be their job. You need to get on with your job. If you don't, your business isn't going to be there. You really need to learn that one. Right, the last one on my list. So there we go. We had 5. We've now got 10. is to have a business plan. Okay, that's not IT related, not MSP related. have a target, have a goal, work out a business plan. Now, I had one 11 years ago. I had one 5 years ago. I had one 2 years ago. Why? Because the market keeps changing. 10 years ago or 11 years ago, we were doing small business server. MSP was really not spoken about. In fact, ransomware, that wasn't around. Now, things have changed dramatically. So have staff skills, so has the economic environment, the equipment that we use, it's all changed. So your business plan needs to change as well. If not, just get a bit of a refresh. Now, why a business plan? You need to know where you're headed. You need to know in 6 months' time, I need to have done these things, or I plan to do these things. You need to know where you're headed. And now, in IT, that's a bit difficult because it does change every couple of months. But you need to have a bit of an idea, or else you're just reactionary. And if you're reactionary, you're going to get swallowed up. Something's going to happen. You need to plan, and you need to try and stick to it. And you need to constantly change that plan and refresh that plan. If you don't have a plan, there's lots of free planners online you can download and have a look at. If you have a business partner, then the two of you grab a cup of coffee, close up the boardroom, sit down, have a chat. Between the two of you, you'll have some ideas. Do we need to introduce a help desk? Do we need to introduce a dispatch person? Should we look at web development? Should we look at DNS hosting? Should we just worry about getting out and seeing customers? Should we do remote? Should we get a help desk application like ConnectWise or Autotask? These are all things in a business plan, okay? A lot of IT companies don't have that. One of the things I found very interesting talking to an accountant recently is when he was trying to evaluate the value of one MSP for it to be sold to another MSP, is do they have a business plan? Because he wanted to see that that business had some kind of a future planned. So yes, he looked at the goodwill, he looked at the stock, he looked at everything else, but he looked at the business plan and also the business will, which is the transition document between partners should something happen. Make sure you get your business affairs in order. It's not going to be cheap if you keep on top of it, but it's definitely value for money and worthwhile in the long run. Well, I think I've probably just basically slammed you with a whole heap of stuff. Stuff I've learned over the last 10, 11 years. I've been in IT now for close to 30 years. I've worked in the wholesale, resale. I've been a programmer, developer, project manager. I've done so much stuff. And out of that, this is probably the most enjoyable role I've ever had. And with it, there's these challenges. And these challenges have been with me for many years. And it's time to just put it out there. These are the things I see people doing wrong. And I did them too. So don't be ashamed of it. Get on top of it. Fix it. And yeah, grow your business. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, for this month's topic 5 things MSPs do wrong. And since Harry wasn't here, we did a bonus 5. So really it's 10 things MSPs do wrong. So thanks so much. And we will chat with you next month.
We'll see you later.